Everything happens for a reason. Good vibes only. Choose happiness. You attract what you are. Just be grateful. You've heard all of these probably from people you love, probably said with the best of intentions, and every single time something in you went quiet, not because they were wrong to care, but because you were in the middle of something real and someone handed you a slogan. And you smiled and you said, yeah, you're right. And you felt more alone than before you said anything. And here's what I want to talk about, because toxic positivity doesn't come from bad people. It comes from a culture that is deeply uncomfortable with pain. And until you understand what it's actually doing to you, you keep absorbing it without realizing the cost. Because this isn't about blaming anyone who tried to help you. It's about understanding why the help didn't help and what you actually needed instead. I remember I remember telling someone I was struggling, really struggling, the kind of struggling where getting through a Tuesday felt like an achievement. And they looked at me genuinely caring, genuinely well-meaning, and said, "At least you have so much to be grateful for." And And I know they meant well. I genuinely know that. But what I heard was your pain is inconvenient, your pain is disproportionate, your pain would just go away if you just looked at things differently. So I looked at things differently on the outside, and on the inside, I learned to stop telling people when I wasn't okay, because the message I'd received quietly, repeatedly, without anyone meaning to send it, was that certain feelings weren't welcome here. And here's what happens when you get that message enough times, because this is the part that actually damages healing, not the hard feelings themselves, what you do with them when there's nowhere to put them. Because feelings that can't be expressed, they don't disappear. They go underground, and underground is where they do the most damage. When you're told directly or indirectly that your pain is too much, or that you should focus on the positive, or that someone else has it worse, you don't heal faster. You just get better at hiding. And and here's what hiding costs you. Unfelt grief doesn't dissolve, it calcifies, it hardens into something that shows up later in your body, in your relationships, in the way you shut down when someone tries to get close. Suppressed anger doesn't go away. It turns inwards because it becomes self-criticism, becomes the voice that says, "You're too sensitive, you're too much. You should be over this by now." That voice isn't yours. That's borrowed shame from every time someone made you feel that what you were feeling was wrong. It was the wrong thing to be feeling. And and here's what genuine healing actually requires, because this is the part that toxic positivity skips entirely, and without it you can't get to the other side of anything. Real healing isn't about reframing the pain away, it's about going through it. And there's a crucial difference between those two things. Toxic positivity offers you a way around the pain. It reframes it. You find a lesson, be grateful for the growth, focus on what you still have, and those things, they aren't wrong. Gratitude is real, growth is real, lessons matter, but not yet. Not before you've actually felt the thing. Because when you jump to the lesson before you've sat with the loss, you don't actually get the lesson, you get the story you tell yourself. So you don't have to feel the loss, and the loss stays unprocessed waiting. Real healing goes through. It says this hurts. It says I am not okay right now. It says I don't know what the lesson is yet, and I'm not going to pretend to. And I want to ask you something because I think the answer is going to tell you a lot about where you are right now in your healing. When was the last time someone asked you how you were and you told them the truth, the true answer, not the edited one, not the one that was okay to hear, the actual one. You don't need more reasons to be grateful. You have reasons. You know you have reasons. That's not the problem. You need someone to sit with you in the part that isn't grateful, the part that is angry or devastated or just tired in a way that gratitude just doesn't touch. You need someone who doesn't flinch when the real version of how you're doing shows up in the room. Someone who doesn't immediately reach for a silver lining because your pain is making them uncomfortable. Someone who can just sit there and say, "Yeah, that's really hard. I'm here." And if you haven't had that, if the people around you love you but can't sit in the dark with you, that's not a reflection of how lovable you are. It's a reflection of how poorly we've been taught to be with pain, our own and each other's. So let me leave you with what I actually believe about this, because I think you came here today needing someone to say it plainly. Your pain is not a problem to be reframed. It is information, it is evidence that something mattered. It's the most honest thing about you right now, and it deserves to be felt, not managed, not repackaged, not handed back to you with a bow on it and a reminder to stay positive. You are allowed to not be okay. You are allowed to say so. You are allowed to find the gratitude later. And after you've let yourself feel what is actually here right now, the light isn't going anywhere. It will still be there when you're ready to look for it. You know, like toxic positivity doesn't just dismiss your pain, it teaches you to dismiss it yourself until you become the person who says, I'm fine, so automatically that you've stopped checking whether it's true.